Garrett Nussmeier shines at the Manning Passing Academy, and a big-time LSU target has set his commitment date. We're talking about it. It's bonus content here on Locked on LSU. Let's get it.
You are Locked on LSU, your daily podcast on the LSU Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Okay, let's get it. It is Locked on LSU, your team every day. I'm your host, Matt Moscona, and thrilled to have you aboard with us here for bonus content on this weekend edition. And I have some fantastic news to share with you, which we'll get to. And it's really just my way of saying thank you so much for making us your first listen every single day. If you're there on whatever podcast app, if you're watching us on YouTube, we're just coming up on our second week and 2 weeks complete of being back on the podcast. Our growth has been amazing, and I'm so grateful. So, of course, we're here for bonus content, even though I'm on vacation. So if you're still with us here, if you weren't here yesterday, fun show, but we had some interruptions, some alarms beeping, kids running through the house. But here on vacation, glad to still be with you. So Manning Passing Academy down in Houma. Garrett Nussmeier is one of the counselors. We'll let you hear from Nuss here in just a quick second. And Kaliq Lockett, a big 5-star receiver for the class of 2025, has set his announcement date. We'll put some context around that coming up here shortly. So, look, every summer, the Mannings and all the quarterback royalty descend upon Houma. There at, or I guess in Thibodaux, actually, down at the Manning Passing Academy. And quarterbacks from all the major universities all over the country are invited to participate as counselors, and the Mannings are there, Archie and Peyton and Eli and Cooper. And it really is kind of a who's who. It's quarterback royalty. And, we see quarterbacks go and sort of use that a lot of times as a springboard into their season. Jayden Daniels was there a year ago, and we know that he's used that as a springboard into his Heisman Trophy season when he became the number 2 overall pick. And I think there's a lot of people hoping for the same thing for Garrett Nussmeier. And maybe while a lot of a lot of Friday is the college quarterbacks training the younger quarterbacks as counselors. One of the other parts of Friday is that they all speak with the media. And there's 2 things that Garrett Nussmeier said that I want you to hear, because I think if you're an LSU fan, you're going to love this mostly because of the level of maturity it shows for Garrett Nussmeier growing up. Man, obviously, one of the things that we've all loved about Garrett Nussmeier since he's been at LSU has the physical ability, but also the son of a coach. He's grounded in that reality, having his dad having coached at the major college football level and played in the NFL. He's just been around a lot. I think that forces you sometimes to mature, and I think that's the case for Nussmeier. So this first video, if you're watching on YouTube, or you'll hear the audio, is courtesy of WAFB television in Baton Rouge. And this is almost a minute-long bite, but I think it just gives you amazing context on the maturity for a guy like Garrett Nussmeier, who's entering his 4th season in college football, but his first time to be a full-time starter.
I went through a lot in the last 2 years, just learning different things, different coaching staff, getting used to a different system, and a new culture, a way we do things. I feel like I've grown a lot as a person. I've continued to just, try and focus on getting better each and every day. And I think that also plays a part to my relationship with Coach Sloan, like I said. And, him being honest with me with where I was 2 years ago, where I was last year, and where I am now. And just him telling me how I can get better, how I can continue to lead, how I can do things better in order to help our program and to help our offense. So I think, yes, I've grown a lot, and I've learned a lot of important lessons, and it's been a really, really good time for me. I've grown a lot closer to God and got to experience different things through my relationship with him too, and had a lot. I had to learn to put a lot more trust in him, and I think, everything happens for a reason. God does his timing is always right, and so, it was learning to accept that and to put all my trust and all my faith in him, and just to keep my head down and work.
I don't know how anybody who's a fan of LSU could listen to that and not be impressed. So Garrett Nussmeier turned 22 in February, so he's about 22 and a half, and he's entering his 4th year of school, and we all know the story. He was a high 4-star. He got to campus, and he's waited. And while he's waited, Jayden Daniels came in. Remember, Nussmeier was here with Miles Brennan as well when it looked like Brennan was going to be taking over the reins, and Brennan had the unfortunate injury, but Jayden Daniels came in and ultimately won that job over Nussmeier. Walker Howard was in. There have been many times where we thought Brennan would be the starter, or that Walker Howard would be the heir apparent. And then Daniels came in, and maybe Daniels would leave after his first season in Baton Rouge, but came back, and Nussmeier stayed. And think of all the different times we've sort of expected Garrett Nussmeier to leave, and he hasn't. He's stayed, and he's taken maybe, of course, him talking about his faith is endearing, and I think that's very important, to be willing to say something and to be outspoken about that. From a football perspective, hearing him talk about taking criticism from Joe Sloan and what he needed to improve on, I think should give you tremendous air of confidence around what Garrett Nussmeier will be this season. And there's one more that will probably impress you as well. Garrett Nussmeier was asked about winning the Heisman Trophy and how much that would mean to him. Give a listen.
I don't really feel any pressure about it. I could care less if I win the Heisman or not. Really don't care at all, to be honest with you. Everybody talking about this, 3 Heisman winners and 4 I don't care. I want to win a national championship. I want to lead LSU to the greatest stage possible. That's all I care about. I don't really feel any pressure.
By the way, that was courtesy of Chesa Boucher at Go Nation, NBC 33 in Baton Rouge as well. So if you saw the video, but you heard the audio there. Listen, that's every fan's dream. Of course, listen, when Joe Burrow won the Heisman, it was amazing. I was in New York this past December for Jaden Daniels' big Heisman win, and it was thrilling to be there to watch an LSU quarterback win a Heisman Trophy, after we collectively waited since 1959 for an LSU player to win the Heisman Trophy, from Billy Cannon to Joe Burrow, 60 years. And then now to have 2 Heisman Trophy winners since 2019, 2 in 4 seasons, is incredible. And we'd all love to see Garrett do that as well. But if he does it, it's because he led his team to an amazing season. But for him, it's not about the individual awards. It's about leading LSU. And it's one of the reasons, obviously, Garrett Nussmeier stayed. He could have gone anywhere, but he wants to not only win, but he wants to win at LSU. So many ways that Garrett Nussmeier continues to impress, not just in the way that he throws the football, but in the way that he's led this team in the offseason. He gushed about his offensive line and the leaders that they've been on the team. You can go look at the LSU Twitter. They have video of Garrett Nussmeier during some of these workouts talking to his teammates after workouts. Remember, there's no coaches right now. It's all player-led. Now they can work with Jake Flint, the strength and conditioning coordinator, but anything they do on the field outside of strength and conditioning is all player-led. It's very clear LSU's got a good one and a veteran quarterback there in Garrett Nussmeier. So from the current to the future, which I want to talk about here in just a bit, it is Locked on LSU, your team every day. This bonus content is brought to you by eBay Motors. Love telling you about eBay Motors here and the partnership that we've been able to have with eBay Motors on Locked on LSU. eBay Motors, passion, drive, patience. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors, everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, so much more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only. Available to U.S. customers. So Kaliq Lockett has announced his commitment date. And if you're not familiar with Kaliq Lockett, he's a 5-star. He's one of the top receivers in the country, and he will announce his commitment on August the 7th. So a little more than a month away now from Kaliq Lockett's announcement, and he's named his finalists as well. It's Alabama, Florida State, LSU, Texas, and Texas A&M. Now, Lockett, if you're looking at the On3 recruiting prediction machine, they are projecting Kaliq Lockett to Texas. So, as a matter of fact, 76% odds to Texas, 5% Texas A&M, 4.3% for LSU, followed by Florida State, and then Alabama. So, I think DeCorian Moore's decommitment and then missing out on C.J. Wiley has really put a microscope on the receiver position in this recruiting class for LSU. At one point we were talking about Bryce Underwood, the number one quarterback, Decorey Moore, the number one receiver, and Harlan Berry, the number one running back. Well, now Decorey Moore is decommitted. There's certainly a strong thought that he's going to end up at the University of Texas. C.J. Wiley, who's a legacy, his dad Chuck Wiley was a great defensive lineman for LSU in the 90s. He's out of the state of Georgia. He picked Florida State this past week. And now another five-star, Kaliq Lockett, set to make his announcement on August the 7th. And LSU's had him on campus for an official visit, and we'll see if they can make a hard push between now and August 7th to see if they can get Kaliq Lockett in the class. But it's one of those things where you look at the top receivers in the country, and LSU's in on all of them. Jamie French is another five-star receiver where LSU has offered all of them. They're in the mix for all of them. But will they land any of these receivers for the class of 2025, these high-profile receivers? You would expect the tide to turn, but with certainly with Bryce Underwood in this class, and having just had a Heisman Trophy winning quarterback and pumped two wide receivers into the NFL draft in the first round, and the recent receiver success, it stands to reason that LSU would have more success at recruiting these elite receivers in the class of 2025. It just hasn't manifested yet. We'll see if maybe they can make up ground on Kaliq Lockett between now and August the 7th. But as it stands right now, LSU with just one wide receiver commitment so far for the class of 2025, and they're going to have to bolster those numbers. You're going to lose guys like Chris Hilton and Kyron Lacey after the season, very likely C.J. Daniels and Xavion Thomas, the transfers as well. So 2025 is going to be a massive recruiting year for the receiver position, and LSU still got work to do there. But Kaliq Lockett will make his announcement on August the 7th. We'll see if LSU can make up some ground and maybe land Kaliq Lockett between now and then. Before we get out of here, I do want to remind you about FanDuel, of course. Actually, I think I'm supposed to hit this little button, so let me do this real quick. Forgive me, y'all. I screwed that up. It's not FanDuel. It's Game Time that I'm supposed to tell you about. My sincere apologies. But FanDuel is awesome as well, but I'm supposed to tell you about Game Time, and I'm just all over the place on this, and I apologize. Even though we're 2 weeks in, I'm still getting my sea legs with some of the buttons and some of the things I'm supposed to be doing, so my apologies for that. FanDuel is awesome, but let me tell you about Game Time. And y'all, summer's here, and the sports, as they say, stop sporting, but it is a great opportunity to get by and download the Game Time app, because when you download Game Time, this is your path to getting the tickets you want to the events that you want to see. Major League Baseball is here, and if you're making trips this summer, I love to go to MLB games during the summer. A couple of summers ago, my wife and I went up to Yankee Stadium to see the Yankees. We usually make a summer trip over to Houston to see the Astros, go check out Bregman. If you want to do that, make sure you download Game Time. It's an authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, which makes getting tickets faster and easier, and prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer you get to first pitch. So they got killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their lowest price guarantee. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying tickets in the summer, of course. MLB tickets. So here's the deal for you. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Again, terms apply. Create an account, redeem the code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE, Locked On College, for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. Okay, as we wrap up, I just want to share a smidge of good news if I can. And I'm so grateful to everybody. Of course, if you're new, maybe this is the first time you're catching an episode. I started this podcast back in 2018, hosted it until 2022 when Caroline Fenton took over. Caroline's done an awesome job the last 2 years, and Caroline did make her announcement this week. She has been hired by Yahoo Sports, so she's going to be doing a lot of content, mostly college football, but content for Yahoo Sports. I'm so excited for Carolina. Knew Caroline when she was in student media at LSU. Actually tried to hire her at 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Tried to hire her twice, actually. But she's on to great things. I'm very excited for her. But in taking over this podcast for Carolina, I've asked so many of you to subscribe to the channel on YouTube, to subscribe on your favorite podcast app, and follow us and tell a friend and rate us and leave a review, because I don't like to lose. And I have ambitions of being the number one show on the Locked On College network. So there's an app called Chartable, and Chartable updates podcast rankings. And if you look at football podcasts in the United States of America, New Heights is number 1. Pardon My Take is number 2. Bussin' with the Boys. Pat McAfee is 4. So, I mean, there's some great ones. The Herd is 5. The Pivot with Ryan Clark is 6. Cover 3. A lot of these, Rich Eisen's 9. Anyway, I am fired up. This week alone, we're up 11 spots, and we're all the way up to number 24 in the United States of America on when it comes to football podcasts. So thank you so much for that. And I mean, it's some great company to keep. So, when I look at, Green Light with Chris Long at 20, Joel Klatt at 21, Locked On Packers 22, Locked On Bills 23, and then there we are at 24, one spot ahead of Locked On Auburn at 25. We're the number 1 college show among the Locked On Podcast Network. We're the highest rated among the college shows this week. And so very, very short burn, and we've got tons of room to go and to grow, and I'm so excited about it. But thank you all who have who've made this transition with us here as we've relaunched me on Locked On LSU, and I'm so grateful for you. So if you're on YouTube, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel. If you are listening on your favorite podcast app, thank you so much. Please subscribe, rate us, leave a review, and let a friend know if they love the Tigers. We got you here every single weekday and weekends for bonus content on Locked On LSU, your team every day.